Not yet. Like this now, the no flowers.
Yeah, they're on the south side. But, and the, time to end, about,
Ruler.
nothing.
Lots of manure.
Yeah.
We're good. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our additions and deletions meeting of April 20th, 2026. Could we have a roll call, please?
We'll start with Chair, Deputy Mayor Sanderson,
Present.
Mayor Blair, Councillor Weatherby,
Present.
Councillor Richardson,
Present.
Councillor Cooper,
Present.
Councillor Johnson, Councillor Leggett,
Present.
Councillor Martell,
Present.
Councillor Patton,
Present.
Councillor Benoit, Councillor Fletcher, Councillor Kennedy, all present and accounted for. You have quorum.
Thank you, Dan. In peace and in friendship and in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I acknowledge that the municipality of Colchester is in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq. So we will begin. And Scott is ready to walk us through the additions and deletions in front of us. Over to you, Scott.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. And
Good evening, Council.
I have put together a PowerPoint here, or I should say a spreadsheet here, which we do through additions and deletions. So there were 11 asks that we had here for consideration tonight. Council would have received a briefing on each of those. In addition to those, we have a series of grants for nonprofits and community events. Council received a recommendation in advance of this meeting on the grants for nonprofits and on the community events grant. So typically at this meeting, we usually start with the grants for nonprofits. We then go into our community events grants for decisions on those, and then finish with the remaining 11 items. And then once we've done all that, we can take a look and see where we're sitting with respect to a balanced budget. So if council's in agreement, maybe we'll start with the nonprofit grants. There was a recommendation made put forward to council for funding on those, and the funding totaled $81,630. I think, if I remember correctly, in the past we had a motion that was last year. We had a motion that was a blanket motion to approve, and if there were amendments, then we would do those amendments. And also we pulled out any conflicts. There was one conflict made in advance for Sunnybray Cemetery for 2,000. We do that separately so that the council member could declare a conflict. If there were any other conflicts, we could do that at this meeting as well. It just happens that we did try to seek out any conflicts in advance. So I guess starting with the grants for nonprofits where there are no conflicts declared. I think everyone has that list in their possession.
Does anybody want to declare a conflict right now, or you've already made that? No. Okay. So you have the list in front of you. Requests for $81,630 grants, non-for-profit.
Says 83.
Oh, sorry, we're gonna keep the Sunnybray out for now.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. Does anyone share?
Madam
Councillor
Chair, for
Martell?
clarity of process,
Yes.
so we can have a motion made to approve them as a group and then have amendments made after the motion?
Correct.
Thank you.
So is anyone prepared to put a motion on the floor to approve the $81,630 in grants? Councilor Martell,
I would like to make a motion to approve the grants in the amount of $81,600. $630.
thank you. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Kennedy. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Cooper?
Yes, I'd like to ask that we amend the motion and remove the funding for the cemetery, Tatamagouche Cemetery Company, out of 2,500.
We need a seconder for that motion.
Okay.
Anybody going to second that? Seconded by Councilor Johnson.
Okay, please just
Sure.
say why. I talked to Craig and we've got roughly 100 cemeteries that are listed. And I just feel that we, even if they all came in $1,000 every year or two, far beyond what we can do to help sort of thing. So I think that's just a road I don't want to go down sort of thing. So nothing against this particular one, but it's
Thank
in
you.
general. So, yeah.
Mayor Blair?
Thank you. I'd like to address something else. So if you want to finish the conversation on this
Okay.
particular one first.
We'll carry on with
Yes.
the amendment to the motion. Councilor Martell.
I would like to speak out against that amendment. The policy in front of us for not-for-profit says that not-for-profit groups can apply for funding. There isn't anything currently within the policy that prohibits cemeteries, associations and societies from applying for that grant. So I would say it's fair consideration for them for this year, but if council would like to amend their policy on grants, perhaps they could look to that for next year.
Thank you, Councilor Martell. Any other discussion on the amendment? Suggested amendment? You ready for the vote? Will we do this up on the screen, Tracy, or just,
We don't ever clean our.
oh, we don't have our clicker. Sorry, I guess we will do it the old fashioned way. So are you ready for the question on the amendment to the motion, which is to exclude the Tatamagouche Cemetery Company from the total amount? You ready for the vote? Okay, all in favor of that amendment? Say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay.
Nay.
Hold your hands up, please. 2, 3, you. So now we'll vote on the amended motion.
Is there any other?
Oh, yes, sorry. Any other further discussion? Mayor Blair.
Thank you. I would like to speak to the let's see if I can find it now. The Canadian Mental Health Association requested $4,000. For a number of years, they have received $3,000. I know how very diligent they are with their money, and I think they squeeze every penny so that it's almost double what anybody else would get out of it. I would like to put a motion on the floor that the Canadian Mental Health Association be approved for $4,000.
Seconded by Councilor Benoit. So how do we handle this? We have an amended motion. Do we have to vote on, we have to go to yours first? Okay.
Well, we do it the same way as we
Same way.
did Council.
Oh, okay, you want to amend the motion to increase their amount to
I would like
4,000.
to have their amount increased to 4,000
All right.
from the recommended 3. Yes.
Is there further discussion on this amendment? Mayor Blair, can you turn your?
Oh, I'm
mic
sorry.
on, please? Councilor Cooper, please.
Yeah, just very quickly, I can remember back how many years ago we didn't support mental health at all. We've all come to realize that it's a integral part. Do so, yeah, I'll agree with this. Thank you.
Anything further? Ready to vote on the amended motion? It's been called. All in favor of increasing the amount to mental health, 4,000, say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Councilor Martell.
I would like to make a motion to provide the Creamery Square Arts Society, the Grace Arts Center, with the full amount that they've asked for of $5,000.
You, we have a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Patton. Further discussion on the motion, Councillor Martell.
Yeah, I want to speak to the value of having that arts center in Tatamagouche. It is a gathering place for children, for youth, for seniors. Everyone in our community has a benefit of that organization that not just provides a place for art to be displayed, but also a place for people to explore performing arts and learn and educate. Workshops are held there. And it has become an integral part of our community, attracting tourists, and they have excellent shows. And the local theater groups have such a great following that, you know, we on the North Shore are separated by Nuppy Mountain, and it does make it a challenge certain types of the year when we have bad weather or even the darkness in the winter to come over to Truro to see a show if there's any issues with driving or transportation. And that facility in Tatamagouche has done amazing things to be a social center for our community. So I see great value in giving them the funding that they requested.
Thank you. Any further comments? Ready for the question? Question's been called. All in favor of increasing the Creamery Square Arts Society, the Grace Arts Center, with the full amount of $5,000, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Anything further? So we're ready to vote on the amended motion, two amendments. Well, three really. Thank you, Councillor Richardson. It's increasing the Canadian Mental Health to full amount asked at $4,000, to increase the Creamery Square Arts Society to $5,000, the full amount, and to eliminate the Tatamagouche Cemetery Corporation. I hope you've been able to keep tabs of this, Scott.
I have.
Are you ready for the vote
Yeah.
on the how do you say that? The
Amended motion.
amended motion? Yeah, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. The motion carries. Where are we at now, Scott?
Okay, next we have the profit conflicts. So we did have a conflict on the Debert Cemetery, which was for requested $4,850 and staff recommended $2,000.
It's noted that Councillor Martell has recused herself from this discussion. We have a motion on this particular item, Sunnybray Cemetery. Anybody prepared to put a motion forward to support? Councillor Patton, the 2,000?
I'll second it.
The 2,000?
Yes.
Okay, and seconded by Councillor Leggett. Any further discussion on this motion? Councillor Hoover.
Yes, I'd like to put an amendment of that it's for the same reason we didn't support Tatamagouche Cemetery Corporation, that we don't support Sunnybray Cemetery. Oh, yes, okay. Okay, I'm just speaking against it then.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Councillor Benoit, please.
Mayor, can you just remind me why that one's separate?
It's separate so that if there's a conflict, the person can excuse themselves
Oh, sorry.
from the council table.
Councillor Patton, please.
Thank you. I want to speak in favor of this because I've worked with a couple of community cemeteries lately that are not affiliated with churches anymore, and they often need the support to get some fill, to prop up the headstones, do some repairs and whatnot. So I think hopefully we don't get all 70 coming to us at any one time, but I think we need to offer support where it's needed.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion? You ready for the question?
Questions?
All in favor of supporting Sunnybray Cemetery to the tune of $2,000, say aye. Contrary-minded, nay.
Nay.
Hands up for the nays. Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Fletcher, Mayor Blair, Councillor Richardson, Councillor Cooper, Councillor Johnson. And is that
Mayor Blair, Councillor Richardson, Councillor Cooper, Councillor Johnson,
Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Fletcher?
6 names.
So 6 nays.
So. Doesn't.
Motion fails. So do I have to vote? I'm in favor of the motion, so I'm.
So it's 65. And the motion doesn't pass.
The motion is defeated. All right, that looks after our not-for-profit grant requests. Now we're looking at community event grant requests. And we've received the list time. Looking at $10,500. Bible Hill Garden Club, the Nova Con Society of Truro, Nova Con 2026, and Truro Pride Society. Total of $10,500. Is anybody prepared to put a motion
I am
to support that?
to support.
Okay, support, Councillor Patton, seconded by Councillor Cooper. Any further discussion on the motion? Councillor Kennedy?
Just a question through you. Is this already in our budget that we got the other day? 35,000.
It is, yeah. Yeah, if there were changes, then we would make those changes tonight, but we budgeted based on the recommendation from staff.
Thank you.
Councillor Fletcher?
Through the chair, the Novacon Society, that's their second ask, isn't it? They're only allowed 3, is that how that goes?
I think it's their first ask, but they're allowed 3.
Good ask. It says here, Scott. So second.
Okay, yeah, I have on the spreadsheet here one number of asks. But I don't know, Craig could probably confirm that.
Through you to chair, yes, it is their second ask.
Okay,
I think it's in your spreadsheet that you have. And one other item for the Bible Hill Garden Club, they have changed their date and location for that event. So it's in July 23rd to the 24th at the Dalhousie University. Yeah.
So we have a motion on the floor and a seconder to approve this amount. Are we all ready for the question? Question's been called. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carries unanimously. We have one additional one that Mayor Blair has declared conflict. And it's from the Rotary Club of Truro for their Charter Night 100th anniversary, looking for $5,000. Anybody prepared to put a motion on the floor? Moved by Councillor Leggett, seconded by Councillor Benoit to approve the $5,000 to the Rotary Club. Any further discussion on this motion?
Question.
Called, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mayor Blair. All right. We have some other additions and deletions.
we do. Yeah, we have 11 other items. I think everyone has a copy of the spreadsheet, so if it's okay with you, maybe we'll go through
Sure.
based on the spreadsheet here. The first one was the building security contract. And that was for 60,000.
Talk on this. Chair, did we talk on this item or
What's your wish, Scott?
Yeah,
So each one as we go through it?
yeah, usually we go
Sure.
through each item.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah, so you have a question on
I'd
the
like
first
to
item? Yeah,
talk on this
go
one.
ahead, Councillor Fletcher.
For that building security contract, what's the, like, is there gonna be, is there gonna be barricades kind of put up so that people cannot walk through? What's the plan for?
yeah, I mean, ideally, we would have someone stationed out at the front. And they'd have a desk, so they would, we'd provide them with probably as well access to the phone system so they can call they need to call a department and say, Mr. Smith is here to say so and so. The glass wall downstairs in the foyer beside the photocopier, that could be closed. That person could then show people through.
Chair, instead of having a security person, the tax office, I know there's a few in there.
Yeah.
And they're busy at tax time, but other times of the year, if I'm really strong on getting like from the photocopier in, blocked off,
Yeah.
because it's just a matter of time. You go to the provincial government's building over in Bible Hill, you can't get in, and there's like a small plexiglass with a small hole. People are getting crankier by the day, and I think it's a safety issue for the staff and the mayor as well. I know there's panic buttons, but we've really got to, in my opinion, shut people down from getting in. And a security guard, if he's gonna be busy with somebody, he's not gonna be, somebody else could walk right.
Yeah, I think the idea would be that would be locked off, then this person would be the person to let someone through. So,
Is there any way of, through the chair, of having a intercom system type thing and they come out to get them? Because it could be anybody and just say, oh, I need to see Tracy. And it could be like somebody that is kind of like having issues and not a happy camper, but could kind of bluff their way through. But if Tracy come out, or anyone really, and seen them and say, no, can't do that.
you mean in a situation where somebody might not be someone that we want to let through? Yeah, I think that there are things we can do to make sure that doesn't happen or reduce that risk. You know, one thing would be the person calls, asks Tracy, tells them, Mr. Smith's here. We know Mr. Smith is someone that, you know, may pose a risk. So then we don't let them in.
But that's through the chair, the security guard might not know that he's a risk. But I want to make sure
Right.
that there is something in place. Even if you just to hire this fellow, I would like to have it so that is shut off.
Yeah, I think
It's gotta happen.
I think that's the plan. We would have those doors locked. This person would be in the foyer, so they would be the person to let someone through, set them up with a phone, and then they would call through if there was someone that we thought, you know, maybe an issue. They would be calling and saying, we have, you know, Mr. Smith here to see Tracy, will say. And if we know, if Tracy knows that person is, you know, someone that may be a challenge, then, you know, that could be addressed and they wouldn't be let in.
Through the chair, just one more time. But you're saying you think.
Well,
The CEO or.
I don't want to speak for the CAO, but that's what I would see happening. You know,
Dan, would you like to do this?
Thank you through the chair. So, originally the plan was just as you described, creating that crush area in like literally the foyer area. But what we were looking at is those glass doors becoming the separation. So the process, will really determine on each division, how they want to have folks. So if somebody's coming in for planning, somebody's coming in for engineering or whatever. But certainly the process would be anybody who was coming in to say that they would have a meeting, that would be checked with whoever the person would be coordinating that meeting. So whether they said, I'm coming in to meet with Dan, then there should be a phone call put through to me to say, so-and-so is here. And if I'm waiting for them, great, let them through. If I don't know who it is, then that dialogue in from there. So that process needs to be put in place behind it. This at this point is the placeholder for the funding for the position out in the lobby. We have looked at the doors also potentially having fobs or buzzers to them to allow, so the person at the front might not even have to get in their desk to allow access. But the same as if a staff person went over to it, they should be able to go through it. So there's a bunch of pieces still being worked out on that front. This at this moment is the placeholder for the position, so we can kind of get that operation done. I hear
through the chair, what I hear the councilor saying is you really want a process where people, are aware of who's coming in and then they could say yay or nay to that person coming in.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes, and it would be like protecting them.
Yeah.
To the chair. Dan, so is there a different line for, because there's gonna be repairs to be able to have this done, is that allowed in the budget, or is it just for the person right now?
I guess I guess if we're talking about repair to the doors, I mean, it's easy to put a lock on the door and then have that person, you know, unlock the door and let someone in. If you're looking at putting in fobs, that would be more of a capital expense, depending on what it is. I've gotten pricing on that. The challenge that I have, or that we've had with putting strictly fobs on that door, is that the courts need access as well. So if you don't have someone being the gatekeeper and letting people in and not letting people in and filtering through who's there, that doesn't work for the courts. They want to have a front window where people can walk in and go directly to them. So
Another question. Who owns the building?
we own the building, but we have a lease that we're providing.
Well, if they're our tenant and we're protecting, they have sheriffs, they have officers at their court. We have nothing to protect us.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very challenging building to have people in different sections. Like they're not all in one section, which makes it tricky as well. There's people in the basement, there's people on the second floor. That provides, and just the layout of the building provides a challenge. So I think it's a good move to have someone in the foyer that's not an employee, but a contracted person that, you know, is signing people in, signing them out, making sure that they're getting to the place that they're supposed to be. If there's a challenge with someone and they're known, then that can be addressed so that they're not getting through. Having said that, so the reality is we don't always know someone's going to be a challenge until they're meeting with you. That happens too. I think this does provide a lot. It provides a lot of checkpoints that aren't in place right now. That doesn't mean that things won't still happen or even potential, but compared to an open building where people are walking through and, you know, right now wandering if they want to, that's reduced significantly. I think when you have, you know, that window or that I call it a window wall, blocked off, and then someone signing people in and out and making sure they get where they're supposed to be.
Thank you.
Councillor Kennedy.
I was just gonna add, and I was hoping our CAO would mention it. A lot of security is done by video. Where you have a video camera and you push the button and Tracy would see the picture and allow the person in or not in. And that could be in conjunction with the security up there.
Yeah.
So if I say Al Kennedy, she pushes, yeah, that's him. Okay, come on in. Has that been given any thought to have a security camera?
Dan, please.
Through the chair. So currently, that's the way our back door operates right now, is you get buzzed through, we don't have fobs. But remember, the front of the building is now gonna be reconfigured so that everything is gonna come through the front door. So there's the ramps and so on will be in the front of the building, so deliveries will come through the front and everything. So we'd have to look into if there was a change to that camera system, but there is a camera system in place for certain locations already. So we'd have to look into that step. But some of the equipment's already in place.
I was just going to add to that. We do have a CCTV system in the building, so the person set up in the foyer with the desk, we could provide them with that. We would intend to provide them with it, and then you know, if someone's in the building and they've gotten to a meeting, let's say on the third floor, person's monitoring the cameras as well, and if they seem to be, running around or wandering, this person would be aware of that.
The camera really turns a lot of people away when they know it's there.
And it's very effective in tracing back on who was in and who wasn't, and you know that.
So I think
It would be a great idea to have that in the front,
where everybody's coming in.
my thought.
Councillor Fletcher.
Through the chair to Dan, maybe, how long's the lease for the courts? We're like in a space crunch for our county people or employees and divisions. How long's the lease for?
Dan.
I'll get Scott to give the exact, amount of time, but we are aware that there is in the provincial budget a capital item that is supposed to be for the design of a new courthouse. Now, that doesn't mean when it's gonna get built or how it's gonna get built. But as far as the lease here, Scott would have the details.
Yeah, it was a 12-year lease that was signed, and it replaced a lease that had no end and no termination. And so when we went back and talked with them, we were able to get a lease that had an end date. I don't have it in front of me, but it was 12 years, and I think it was 2032, if I remember correctly.
Any further discussion on the security position? Hold on that position, placeholder rather, Mayor Blair.
Thank you. I'm delighted, actually, that we're looking at this. We've had many discussions about it. When I'm in the office by myself, people walk in, they don't pay attention to where they are, who they're talking with. They walk right in the office, they're looking for somebody somewhere, or they're irate. I've experienced all the things that you have alluded to or spoken about, Councillor Fletcher. So to actually have someone at the front desk, we did have sheriffs there at one point in time, and then justice put them on the second level. And it was wonderful, but you know that whoever is there is probably going to have to answer a lot of directional questions. Where do I go for what? And who do I see for what? And that sort of thing. But to have someone in the lobby and to have more security on the doors, I think is essential in this day and age where you have so many challenges in our community.
Right, thank you for that. Any further discussion? I think we'll vote as we go through each of these on whether we approve or not. Is anybody prepared to put a motion on the floor?
Yes, I am. I'm prepared to have the contract for building security in the amount of $60,000 approved.
The seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Further discussion on the motion? Question's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. It carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item is administrative restructuring in the amount of $330,572. Do you want to speak to this, Scott, or?
I think it might actually be
Yeah.
Dan that might want to speak to it.
Thank you, through the chair. So we have a number of positions. So the first is that for some time we've had on the books a position that we really partially funded, which was the idea of a deputy CAO. As folks are aware, it's succession management and having folks either internally get an opportunity to test drive the position, or from a perspective of having folks get exposure to then be able to compete for those positions over time to maybe become CAO. So we have put on the books here a position as a deputy CAO. We've also had a director's position. I have a number of folks who kind of are standalone, so economic development, communications. So we're looking at creating kind of a division that takes all of those standalone positions and loosely calling it the economic development, marketing, and communications. So that the positions that are all kind of out right now without having a director they're reporting to would all now fall under that. Part of the thinking behind this is that we also have a lot of initiatives that are kind of on the side of somebody's desk. And so it would be that director position overseeing that group to make sure that all of those pieces, instead of being on the side of the desk, would be moving forward, but also if there was a need for additional resources to make it come to fruition, that then that request would make its way through as an item that then the discussion could happen at council. In addition, we also have an admin position. So right now there is a lot of work that is happening off of the side of Tracy's desk that really needs to have a focused position for everything from our letter writing to our file works, and even as you recently saw, going through a lot of our documents that have been sitting around the building for over 100 years, deteriorating because we can't get to these things. So those positions make up the administrative restructuring section that you see here.
Thank you, Dan. Is anybody prepared to put a motion on the floor? Councillor Johnson,
Put a motion on the floor that we put 330,572 administrative restructuring.
thank you. We have seconder, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Further discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary minded, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. MIS desktop support, one full-time equivalent position, $69,541, range 3 on the salary scales. Scott, you want to speak to this?
Sure. Yeah, this is within our IT department. We're looking to add a position, and it's really sort of a function of increased workload. Since the last position, which was added in 2018, we've had additional staff, 20 new staff actually added, and several new accounts set up as well with respect to Microsoft 365 accounts, 7 new physical sites. So all of those things sort of, require additional support. In addition to that, we've had increased demand around IT security. So the idea with this position is it would be a desktop support position. So, fixing things like hardware, software issues. When people have put in tickets, this person would be troubleshooting them.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion. Somebody, Councillor Weatherby, you're in favor of an MIS desktop support equivalent position, 69,541. Second by Councillor Cooper. Any further discussion on this motion? Councillor Cooper.
Just one quick question, and maybe it's gonna get taken care of with the next item, but where are all these people going? Is that gonna be taken care of in the next item there?
Dan, please.
Through the chair, you're correct in your assumption.
Any further discussion on the motion? Questions been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay. The motion carries. Thank you. On to our leased office space item at $115,000. Scott, you
Sure.
introduce this?
Sure. This next item, it's a placeholder. And it's with respect to the staff currently housed at House Building. And we have reached what I would say is capacity for office space within our building with the current situation that we're in. So we're looking at a placeholder potential leased office space that works for the municipality. So this is just to put funds in the budget. Once something is finalized that management feels works for us, then we would come back, and if we reached a tentative lease, we would be taking it back to council for final approval.
We have a motion, please. Councillor Cooper, that we have a placeholder for leased office space at $115,000. We have a seconder, Mayor Blair. Any further discussion on the Councillor Martel?
Through you to Scott. That's an exceptional amount of money, $10,000 a month to lease a space. I'm wondering how many people you're considering moving into that space, and if you have any idea on what kind of floor space you'd be looking.
Yeah, I mean, that number, it wasn't just randomly generated. It's based on what we see in the market right now in Truro for square footage. And then we're basing it on a footprint of around 2,500 square feet. And it would hold, hopefully, we based on what we're sort of tentatively looking at, it would be between 10 and 12 people.
Um, uh, Councillor Patton, can you just press yours off? You weren't quite
Yeah,
finished.
second question through to Scott
Sorry.
then. Would that amount then not just cover a lease, but also the leasehold changes to a space to accommodate those staff?
It would, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Patton.
You Chair. Scott, have you looked at anything out in the county?
Out
Is there anything available for office?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's office space out there, and that's sort of what we've used to generate this number. We've looked at, what the cost is per square foot for office space and some of those potential locations, and
I would prefer that it go to the county, but
just
town.
yeah, I was just going to ask just to clarify that when you said county, you meant outside of town. Okay.
So you've looked at spaces outside of the town?
No, when you said county, I was thinking encompassing the town area as well. Yeah. But that's not to say that that's not something we'll be looking at. I think ideally though, we want something that's going to work so that it works in terms of ease of access to this building with staff as well. So and that may be in the county, but ideally we wouldn't want to relocate people 40 minutes away from where they currently work. Yeah.
I just have a quick question, I guess you can clarify for me, the Douglas Street School, which, is it owned by the town? So it's owned by the town and they have their recreation staff there, correct?
I think they do, yeah.
And we own a recreation facility as well. Have we looked at that as a potential for office space at the rec?
Oh, at the Rath East Link? We haven't really looked at that completely. I know there's some office space there that's currently leased. So I don't believe there would be anything in addition to that, but I mean, it's something we could explore.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the floor to support this? We do, yeah, okay. Any further questions or discussion? Councillor Martell, sorry.
Through you to Scott, once again, I guess, just looking at these numbers here, when we're looking at that amount of money at, nearly $10,000 a month for 10 employees, would be like $1,000 a month to move an employee from this building to another site. So I'm really wrestling with that price point for the small amount of staff that would be housed within that new lease. Maybe
Yeah,
you could offer a little bit more clarity to
sure.
show why that would be a necessary spend.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure the price point would be a whole lot different than what we spend right now with this building. Our total cost for this building right now, we're anywhere between 230 to 250,000. I mean, we do have more than 10, but we would have, I would say probably 30, 35 people in the building. When we look at the market, the square footage price is usually between 25 and 35 per square foot in the market. And that's all in. That would cover all the leasehold improvements. So, I don't think when I first saw the number, I thought it was high as well, but when I start comparing it to what others are paying, and then I also compare it to what we pay to operate this building, which is by no means cheap for what we're getting. I think it's very comparable. That's probably better quality conditions, I would say, than what we're currently in as well.
Councillor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Debbie. I just have to say it. I think this just shows the urgency that we both own this building and we should
start looking at something newer in the county, and I obviously sent something out there a month ago. And it was from one of our cousins down the valley that went through the same thing we went through. They were in a building downtown with 3 stories and then moved outside in town. I went through it, Jen went through it, super building. Wouldn't have to worry about paying someone to put them in the front door. We wouldn't have to renovate to $1 million to the front of the building. We wouldn't have to go down the road on renting extra space. So I think this just goes to show how much of a priority a new building for the county of Colchester really has to be in the next couple of years.
Councillor Cooper.
I was gonna say the same thing, so.
And this isn't permanent. This is just a placeholder for.
No, I don't think it's permanent. I think, you know, it's probably not, I wouldn't say something that's short term as in 1 or 2 years, but I think, you know, if you're looking at a new building, if that's eventually something that does happen, whether it's for everyone in this building or for part of the staff in this building, I would say you're still probably looking at, you know, probably 6 to 8 years away, and that would be starting tomorrow. I don't think it's something that's going to happen anytime soon. I'm just basing that on what I've seen in terms of the speed of getting things done in other municipalities that have gone through this process.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you. I'm not saying to be the cheapest way or whatever, but it's been talked about for almost every term of council I'm on here, and it's always the same thing. What we did it right now is gonna take 6 years or 7 years or 8 years or whatever to get it done. And the next time our council will come on, it'll take us 6 or 8 years to get it done. Now we're back to this term of council, take us 6 years to look at it to get it done. If we're gonna do it, we gotta just say we're gonna do it. If we're not gonna do it, then we did it one way we're doing, it's the best thing we can do. Just saying, you know, it's gonna go on forever if we don't just say we wanna do it. So that's all I'm gonna say, because I've said enough in the past and it's never gone anywhere.
Councillor Leggett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My opinion on the thing is I agree with this approach. Until we get the rec center fixed up and we know what the dollar value needs to be spent up there, we're not building a new building for us. You fix your own house first.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? You ready for the question? Question's been called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Next item is the Colchester Ground Search and Rescue funding increase. An ask of 17,000 more annually. Does anybody want to speak to this, or will we look for a motion perhaps to kick off the discussion? Councillor Benoit.
Thank you, Deputy. Do we make a motion first and then discuss? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we increase the funding to 15,000. And I'd like to speak on it.
It's the request is an additional 17,000 on top of what we already give them. Oh, sorry, 15,000 instead of 17. Okay, sure. And we have a second, seconded by Councillor Tatton. Carry on, Councillor.
Thank
And
you.
what?
Okay, so in my opinion, the increase is not just a budgetary adjustment. It's a crucial investment in our community safety and well. The main function of our search and rescue team is to ensure the safety of our residents. They have played an invaluable role in responding to emergencies and saving lives, and I know everybody around here can agree to that, and nobody's disputing what they've done. They continue. By increasing their funding, we're directly investing in the safety of our communities, ensuring that they have the resources necessary to respond effectively when needed. Some of the reasons that I'd like to be in support of this, the additional funds will directly enhance the operational capabilities of the rescue team, to provide advanced training for volunteers to handle a wide range of emergency situations, equipment, upgrading essential gear and technology that can make a significant difference in rescue operations. So I had spoken to one of the members about this, and a couple of things in regards to this was they have a new command truck to replace their current trailer that will require a complete computer network install. They applied for a grant, but if they even receive that grant, they'll still need to put in an additional 20,000 on top of that. They're looking at in the near future, I believe, needing to source and buy new PPE for the team. The current stuff that they have is poor quality and wearing out too fast, which they weren't expecting. In order to do that, that's a $30,000 project for the team to come up with. Their gear is very expensive. They're still working on, also with the addition that they've done, it's able to be used as a warming center as well to bring people in. So they're still doing some work on that. They've gotten quite a bit done, but they still need to revamp the kitchen to make it more accessible and things. And they're adding in some additional bathrooms in there as well. So, and another item was that, based on the size of the building, and I feel that search and rescue are very good at their financials, making sure that they have everything lined out. But one thing that they miscalculated, I guess, in a sense, unaware, but the size of the building, the propane heat and power was unexpectedly more than what they had budgeted for based on the larger size of the buildings, but they'll know that for future now. So those are a couple of the reasons why I'd like to see us continue with this. I realize that we helped them with the insurance, and last year, I think it was, we signed on as a guarantee. That wasn't giving them extra money, that was just signing on for them. But anyway, I'll stop there, but that's why.
Thank you. Councillor Fletcher.
I'm not gonna say the search and rescue are not important, but I cannot support this. And the reason, I kind of did a little research and asked for the 2024 and 2025 reports. 2024, there was 13 calls that were not in Colchester. There was 2 in Colchester, and when these search and rescue get called out, it's usually by the RCMP, and they put a bill in for it. There was also in 2025, 9 searches not in Colchester and 0 for Colchester. And the money that Colchester gives them, like any fire brigades, they have their MFRs, they have their trucks, they have overhead, and they are called out. They don't charge for it. I just think I just don't like that they get called to Colchester sometimes and they're still charging. My opinion, when they are called out and they're called to Cape Breton, that this is a provincial thing. And the province of Nova Scotia, they are very important, and the province of Nova Scotia should step up and supply this search and rescue with some funds. It shouldn't be on the back of Colchester alone for this. Fire brigades, and for an example, 5 Islands, is topped off at $50,000. If their tax base doesn't get there, then the county tops them off. They have trucks, they have bunker gear that expires, they have to buy new bunker gear, and that's like, we'll say 3,000 a piece. Their Scott packs and their bottles expire, they have to buy those. It's a super, to keep their gear up to date, it's super expensive. Another, they have 5 Islands, the roof is bad, and they're trying to fundraise for that. Like the fire brigades, and there's more than just 5 Islands, there's 4, I believe, that are or near the $50,000 that get topped up. And in my opinion, they are just as important, and they're out in the communities, and they're the first responders that come to your door. There's also the new Provincial Fire Protection Services Act that's coming into, and search and rescue will be under that, and it's unsure yet as the fire brigades of what they're gonna supply or amount of money. So I just, we gave them the loan guarantee, we pay for their insurance, and they still are way above on my opinion, for their ask. I just think, I think fire brigades need some help, and maybe some funds should go that way instead of the search and rescue.
Thank you, Councillor Fletcher. Councillor Martell.
The chair, just for clarity, I thought I heard, Councillor Benoit say 50, not 15, because I see on the screen it's 17 and now it's less than what was
Yeah,
originally
and
there.
I
So
said
could I have full
1.5. Did you
clarity
say
on-
1.5? So you're wanting to give them less than what they're asking? Okay.
Thank you.
Dan, please.
Sure, and so just through the chair for greater clarity, the base for ground search and rescue was 56, and last year it was raised to 80,000 annually. And so this is an adjustment, and just so clarity, is this for this year, or is this a request to move the annual total to 95? Annual total, okay, thank you.
Councillor Cooper, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I agree with Councilor said. I know there's, the whole thing is kind of a smozzle and a little bit of a mess, and yeah, we've talked about how they should be funded before, and you know, whether it's like fire departments or whatever. I think right now it's the best we can do. I agree with funding in the 15,000. There's a presentation done at the Passaic Volunteer Fire Department Awards Banquet Saturday night. Our Blair was there, and our local MLA and the MP was there, and yeah, and we had a unbelievably good presentation and talk done by them. And they asked everybody there after that talk, they all would have said, give more probably, wouldn't they? Yeah, it was an amazing talk. And one of the key things that came out of it to me, you know, I've heard a lot of this before, was, you know, the talk about how they are frontline entity. Is that a lot of times they'll go to a response for something, and the incident commander will be the RCP or whatever. When they get there, they just turn it over to them. You know, they're the ones that take over, sort of thing. So I know things are gonna change, and there's lots of things in the works, but the time being, until that all happens, it's gonna be forever. I'm in favor of giving them the 15,000. So thank you.
Councillor Benoit, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. In regards to the fire departments, I'm in 100% support of everything that they do, and I will support them if they come to this table and ask for more money, 100%. In regards to the province, it was talked about when we brought this discussion up, I think last year, about the funding, that there was stuff in the works for the province and they just need to hang on, and there's things that are gonna be done. Nothing's been done that I know of. They're still getting $3,000, which I think is ridiculous, and I agree with you that it should be increased. I did reach out to our MLA to try to have a conversation about that. I haven't had that meeting as of yet. I'm just waiting to hear back. So, and I agree, like, until things change, we could be saying this another 5 years down the road. Well, the province is gonna do this, the province is gonna do that. We don't know that. One of our counterparts, neighboring people, they were asked to increase as well, and last year they were only given Colchester Ground Search $1,000, which doesn't really have anything to do with what we do or don't do. I can tell you that they also asked for an increase from the town of Stewiacke, and they approved it. So they're crucial. They're just as crucial as the fire departments. And I think until the province steps up or we hear something else, then I think we should help them out. Yes, I know that we did the guarantee, but we didn't actually physically give them money. We signed on for them, which was a huge help to them, and they're appreciative. But they've got a few more things that need to be done, and so they do fundraise. They fundraise as much as they possibly can. But they need our help, and if the fire departments need extra help, then they come to us and we do what we can. Everything's case by case.
Thank you, Councillor Leggett. Oh, just before you, I just want to be clear that the motion is to increase their funding by 15,000, which would take them from the 80 that we give them now to 95,000 a year, just so everybody knows what the ask is. So, Councillor Leggett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with the ask. As far as ground search and rescue goes, it is a bit of an anomaly. Their service is more than valued, frontline service. and should not be compared to the fire service, because if ground search and rescue falls, it's gonna fall to the fire service. And there's enough stuff falling to the fire service now, so don't be careful what you wish for. But yes, it's organized under the auspice of the RCMP, so they're the ones that activate ground search and rescue. They're the ones that are responsible for them. How the funding model is, maybe it's not ideal. Whether it's province or feds, you need to step up for this entity. I don't know. But we still need that service around here. And just because they go outside of Colchester County doesn't mean to say that 10 search groups from outside the county aren't going to come here whenever we need them. So it's not a one-way street. Yes, they went out, spent half of last summer out in Lansdowne.
Yeah.
So I have no issue with that. And if we had the same situation here, they were here, a bunch of them were here 2 weeks ago looking for the guy in Harmony. The guy out in Greenfield 2 years ago, there was 140 people in DNR helicopters. Didn't cost us a cent more than what we pay them. So it's a two-way street. Thank you.
Councillor Fletcher.
Just a little note. When they do get called, they are paid. That's the difference. When they go to Lansdowne, they are paid. And they're getting an income from their searches, and it's just everything. I actually checked in with the RCMP as well to make sure. And when they call them out, that's why their search area is smaller, or they make sure that somebody's in the area so that they're not wasting. But just if everybody got paid when they went out, that would make a difference. But they are super important. It is very important. I know, and I've also been told that if Hands East goes out, then they automatically call Colchester, same as Pictou County. So I just think it's more of a provincial entity, and I just can't support. Sorry.
Councillor Patton, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to note that this wouldn't be considered an income. It's, they're billing to offset their expenses. So they're restocking their food supplies, and it's unfortunate that other municipal units, including the town of Truro, don't give more, and that perhaps we're paying more than our share, but I'm happy to do so based on the service they provide.
Thank you. Mayor Blair.
Thank you. So the grant that we're giving right now is $80,000. And we have backed the loan guaranteed the loan of $450,000. We have insurance that we pay valued at between $20,000 and $30,000. And I'm wondering what the cost, because they're tax exempt, I believe, that we have given them a tax exemption. How much is the tax exemption each year through the chair to Scott, please?
That's a good question. Their property was commercial prior to being exempt. I would have to look it up, what their assessment value is now, but I can look that up if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Sure.
I appreciate that. The other thing that has been mentioned is the fact that we're looking at the fire modernization legislation. The fire modernization legislation that the province has just passed, we are going to be working on. What exactly will that mean? Is ground search and rescue going to be included with that, along with our fire brigades? It's my understanding that that is one of the things that's being considered. So if it is, that puts a whole different dynamic on it. If municipalities are going to be working more closely with our fire brigades under this legislation, then that means that we would be working more closely with ground search and rescue if they're included. So I hesitate to do anything more at this point. And I would like to know, given the fact that we're looking at right now about $110,000 with the insurance. I'd like to know what the amount of the tax exemption is on the property, because that would be on an annual basis and could be considered the same as a grant.
Yeah, right now it would be 67 $6,771.
So about
Just under $7,000
dollars, so that would say about $117,000.
that we're looking at right now that we are basically contributing to ground search and rescue. There isn't a person in the county that would not recognize the value
Of ground search.
of rescue any more than we value and appreciate and recognize the contribution that all of our volunteers are making to this county. If there are going to be changes, then I think that we need to give serious consideration to the ask.
Thank you. Councillor Benoit, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I hope there is changes with the fire. Right. Yep, that's it. I hope there is changes to that. But again, as we've seen in the past, there's supposed to be changes coming down the pipe through the province, and that's been multiple years and haven't heard anything. So I'm in agreement. If that happens, fantastic. Then they should be good going forward. Until we get a definite answer on that, or yes, they are going to take them under their wing, then I feel like we still need to help them out. And it is unfortunate that maybe we are doing more than others do. And I think that's a great, that it just shows how supportive we are of ground search and rescue. They're, like you said, they're not the same as the fire service. The fire service does great work, and they've got a fantastic 50-50 that's running every week that everybody's supporting very well. I just think that I would like to see us support the 15,000, and then hopefully things will change in the province. Hopefully I'll get my meeting with the MLA and try to push it a little bit and see if we can, but until then, I would like to support 15,000. Thank you.
Councillor Kennedy.
I have a concern, I think it's really nice to be nice. It's also important for us to be accountable. And they've asked for 80,000, am I correct understanding this? And we said yes to it, and it came from 50, am I correct again? And they're still not satisfied, like, come on. Does everybody else has to step up too? Where's the town of Truro? Where's the provincial government? And for us to go and have little chats here and there with the provincial government, I don't think that's gonna solve the problem. I do think we'll cause a problem if we start increasing. If I was the MLA in the district, I'd go like this. Hey, the council takes care of that. So I think, I can't support the increase. I think we gave them an increase. It was 80,000. That's what they asked for, way more than what they had before. And it's only a year ago. My opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Councillor Benoit. I keep going back to the same thing. We're not perfect, not even right, probably, how much we pay. But it is what we need to do. Like, I look at what's the alternative here, we don't do it. We were told it's 3 years for the fire, change the fire service and everything. That's when it was first brought out, and I've talked to Scott Armstrong a couple times since then. They're changing stuff at Caucus, changing here, pulling this back and putting that out. The whole thing is just going sideways in a big way. Who knows how long it'll take to make anything happen. So I don't think we can make any plans based on what could happen over the next year or 2 or 3. I think we gotta go with what we have, go with that. They don't get the firefighter 50-50, base tax rate they do. So there's a whole lot of things that they don't get that other people do. If the fire departments need more help, I'm there. I was here when they first put base mounts in, make sure that people could be taken care of. Fire departments would be able to be there. It's not enough. I mean, they're 100% put it up, sort of thing. Because I found out lately that there doesn't seem to be an equal amount of support in communities and stuff. How this 50-50 goes. A lot of places get a lot more, than other places. So maybe we need to look at that. So I was just under the assumption that, our department gets really significant amount for that. Other places aren't. So that's a big one right there. It's an unrelated thing. If we're going to go with what you know, we're gonna go with the basis that we need to do what needs to be done, whether it's right or wrong. Well, J-class roads is a perfect example. You know, if it's, you know, if it's just gonna do what's right, there's no way we should ever give 1 cent as preferential roads. But like it's been brought up, well, we wait for them, the problem to do it, it's never gonna get done. So I think you gotta, yeah, you know, and I agree, it's not right, you know, I think it's the best we can do. So that's, yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Cooper. Just a reminder of our policies and procedures and meetings. We get to speak 3 times, and if it's more than that, we need permission from council. Councilor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Deputy. I think Councilor Benoit can attest to this, is that we've spoken several times, and I brought it up at several councils here since I've been sitting around the tables, that we came close a couple times, but I've always said these people should be on the general tax rate. If you want to compare them to fire brigades are assessed on assessment. So the reason they're not coming back and asking year after year after year is that the assessments in all the communities are going up every year. So if I got $200,000 in Somerville last year, I'm probably gonna get 220 or 30 this year because the cost of assessments went up. If anybody can sit there and tell you what it's gonna cost to run a building sitting on the Debert, the size that they have there, you know, on them, it just doesn't happen. So what they're asking for is really what it's costing with the increase in everything. And I don't need to say everything. We all know what power's going on. I don't know how they're heating that bay, but I think the very first tour that I came on council, I don't have years ago, was out to ground search and rescue of the Debert, and a cold, snotty Saturday.
Yes.
And the building wasn't finished, and there was no floor and no insulation, and we all just stood around and said, wow, these people need support. I'm still saying that. So as much as I'd like to see them on the general tax rate, they will be coming down year after year, because they have to, because it costs more money to run that operation. So they have over there and on equipment every single year. So it doesn't surprise me when they're back asking for, you know, a 15 or 20% increase from what we gave them last year. They have to. Anyway, that's.
Councilor Fletcher.
My 3rd time. I'll just make 2 little points. They have their own 50/50 search and rescues. And it is their firefighters one. It's all on who picks the fire brigades. It could be a lot for some, could be little for others. Also another point is that the insurance is covered by the county, and when there is a claim, then we are using county time, resources and time to put in the claims. So just thought I'd mention those 2 things as well.
Thank you. We've had a fulsome discussion about this item. Have a motion on the floor to, oh, sorry, Councilor Martel. We haven't had quite a fulsome discussion.
Yeah. We're gonna have more.
How you do the.
Let's see it. Okay. I don't know. Thank you.
Just a couple of comments, and I'm speaking in favor of this motion, and I want to also, I guess, chime in that search and rescue volunteers aren't just from Debert. They are from all over the county, and I have a number of them in my district that travel great distances to be a part of any search, taking time off work, giving their own expenses to travel there. You know, they are part of this organization as well. And when we look at this, I think we're thinking of a building, but it's a community that stands up for the community and goes and finds people who are very vulnerable in worst conditions. And I can't make a decision on what may happen, or the what ifs that we're facing as far as what the province may or may not do. I also can't make a decision on, you know, because someone else didn't do something that they should have, that I would be unable to support this. So for this year, I am in support of it, and we know it'll come back to our table next year. And if we need to adjust numbers in future, then we can always take a look at that. If other people come to the table with more money to support them, and if the province was to make an arrangement that they could be a part of it, if a tax rate was put in, there's so many ifs, but tonight with what's in front of me, I'm gonna support this motion.
Thank you. Anything further? Are you ready for the question? So reminder, the question is to support ground search and rescue at an increase of 15,000, which would make it 90,000 per 95,000.
That's for 1 year.
No, annually. So Everybody understands the motion? Okay, you ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay.
Nay.
Nays, please put your hands up. Mayor Blair, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Fletcher. So motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Good discussion. The next item is public transit funding, $100,000.
Sure. This is funding that we're looking to have added to the budget with respect to the public transit program that council had brought to them a few weeks ago. And the proposal right now, the funding would be 50,000 towards a coordinator position that would be cost shared with the town of Truro. And then also 50,000 towards startup costs. So $100,000 is what the ask is for the budget.
Okay, thank you. Anybody prepared to put a motion on the floor? Councillor Leggett?
Yeah.
Seconded by Councillor Benoit. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Cooper?
So coordinating position is $100,000?
It's a placeholder for that. It would be, that would be not just salary, but also you'd have expenses related to it. So benefits and things like that. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's 100,000, 50 for each.
It would be 50 each. Yeah, it'd be cost shared 50.
We want to make sure.
Any other questions? Ready for the question? Oh, sorry. Oh, we have Councillor Patton out. Should we? Off? You think we should hold on?
Your call.
I think we will vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. The motion carries. It should be noted that Councillor Patton was absent. Okay, the next item is the Cougar Dome, 50,000 per year for 5 years.
I'd like to
Councillor
motion
Marquardt.
for recess until Councillor Pat returns.
We've already voted.
No, she's saying take one now, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought you wanted back to that one. Okay, yeah, sure. We'll take,
Here we go.
I hear a door.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go.
Don't do that again.
All right, on to the Cougar Dome, 50,000 per year for 5 years. Scott?
Sure. I think council have in their package the request that came from for $50,000, not just this year, but for the next 5 years to cover operating expenses. They did mention in their request that they were also making a request to the town of Truro. So included in the package, we put their presentation.
Okay, thank you. Anyone prepared to put a motion on the floor? Mayor Blair?
I'm prepared to put a motion on the floor that the Cougar Dome receive $25,000 for this year.
Do we have a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Cooper. Any further discussion on the motion? Mayor Blair, did you want to address this? No? Councillor Cooper, please,
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was gonna. 25,000
for 1 year.
for 1 year,
Yeah.
yeah. I want to make this a year by year.
Okay.
Happy to do that. Lots of people. The county go there. And I think I was probably the biggest non-supporter when they built it, sort of thing, so I've certainly changed my tune in that respect, sort of thing, so I think it's a good spot. But, yeah, I'm not really sure where the fine line would how we go, so I'm going to go along with 25 now. Like that.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? You ready for the question?
Question.
Motion is to support the Cougar Dome for the next year at $25,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Next item is the Creamery Square Arts. $15,000 in annual funding, and I believe we've been giving them 10,000 over the last several years. So they're looking for an increase of 15,000 in annual funding.
No.
Increase, sorry, an increase in 15,000, right? And,
This was
this is aside from the
yeah,
annual grant we give them, is it?
this is different from the previous grants that we
Yeah.
looked at under
Yeah.
nonprofits.
Yes,
Yeah, this is a one-time grant request.
Yeah.
For 15,000.
it says in annual funding, but in perpetuity, that's their,
Correct. And we've not done annual funding for them.
Oh. if they've always come before us every year, right? So they're looking to not come before us every year, and they would like to have $15,000 in annual funding into the future. Councilor Martell.
I would like to make a
See you.
motion that council provide $15,000 in annual funding for the Creamery Square Arts Center in Tatamagouche.
Thank you. We have a seconder, Councilor Patton, seconded the motion. Any further comments? Councilor Cooper?
Scott. There was two parts to it, wasn't there? 10 and 5, I think.
There was a request for 5,000 towards programming and then 10,000 towards capital upgrades for the lighting and heat pump.
Programming was for what? Exactly.
The programming was youth drama camps and theater productions.
I can certainly see the 10 for sure. But think about it from the other 5.
Mayor Blair?
Thank you. Right now, to start, are we doing 10,000 annually? Or is
No.
this is a brand new ask. A total of 15,000 to be put on annually. That was from the presentation that we had here a while back. Just
They're looking to be more like the Marigold that gets an annual
Yeah.
grant without having to come before council every year.
Once per year.
We have a list, if memory serves, of a number of people that are on our budget to receive funding on an annual basis. Like VON, for example.
Yeah, I was just bringing that up actually.
Yeah.
Small print.
Yeah.
We have VON was 10,000, Colchester Special Olympics is 6,000, North River Restoration is 5, Colchester Historical Society is 10, Maggie's Place is 5, Debert Military Historical Society is 2,000, Cobequid Arts Council is 25,000, and then 4-H, Colchester 4-H 10,000, and CT Colchester Transportation Cooperative 10,000, and CMHA 10,000. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Councilor Martell?
Thank you. This is the first time that they have asked, or that it's been on this budget for annual funding. They have come every single year, I believe, since 2019 and given a presentation to the council on the activities, the volunteerism, the success of the Arts Center. And I would really appreciate council's support in recognizing that they are a tremendous asset in our county of Colchester. It is the only performing arts center outside the core of Truro in our county that has the ability to offer the shows and programming that they do. So I ask for your support for this motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Question.
Ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Nay, one nay, Mayor Blair. The motion carries. Thank you. Next item is the Debert Legion. And the request is withdrawn. Good for them. Their crowdfunding or whatever they did was amazing. Yeah. Mi'kma'way Debert Cultural Center.
You can sit this one out.
We have Councillor Leggett's going to recuse himself in this discussion.
Just before we start with that, I just wanted to clarify with the Creamy Square, the presentation was like a 3-year. So Was the funding, if the funding's annual, was the intent that it would be for the 3 years or?
My understanding, it was into perpetuity. I could
Okay,
continue on, but that was just my take.
okay, I just wanted to,
Dan, please.
Okay,
Through the chair. So the motion on the floor was annual. So that would continue unless at some point in time, council increased, decreased, or stopped it. So what happens is this gets built into Scott's budget. So that each year will be automatically populated unless another decision of council occurs. So it's annualized funding the way the motion read.
Thank you for that clarification. Yeah.
No,
You're-
perpetuity.
You're okay, Scott? You,
I just wanted to make
yeah,
sure it was
glad you
noted.
clarified.
Okay,
So this one is the McMahon Debert Cultural Center. We had a presentation from them. As you know, they've got a big plans for that facility. Is anybody prepared to put a motion on the floor? Mayor Blair?
Thank you. We have had a presentation on this, and I would ask that funding be set aside to support the construction of a fire protection system, the amount to be determined.
Thank you. We have a seconder for that, seconded by Councillor Benwell. Any further discussion on the motion? Fire suppression system for the facility.
Yes, Madam Chair, our Deputy Mayor, I beg your pardon. Yes, we are looking at, we were looking at an ask of $750,000 to $1 million for a one-time capital investment. I think that if Colchester County is going to invest in a capital, it should be, as suggested, that council consider earmarking funds specifically to construct a publicly owned fire protection system on Lancaster Crescent, which would serve not only the needs of McMahon Debert Cultural Center, but would also be available to other businesses in the area. And I think that would be the best use of our funds. Now, that may be $500,000. I'm not sure. It could be upwards of 750. But I could add to my motion that instead of funds to be determined, that we begin with an amount set aside of $500,000.
Right? That's the seconder, okay with that? You're okay, Councillor Benwell? Okay. Mayor Blair, do you want to? Okay, Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Debbie. So just to clarify that, so that means it's a maximum of $500,000?
Mayor Blair?
It would be something that would be determined as we went along. We don't have a cost on that unless Dan could clarify that better. And in what some kind of a system like this would actually cost. And then we can determine, but it would be set aside 500 and then go from there.
Okay, Dan.
I thank you through the chair. So during the presentation by McMahon Debert, they had said approximately 500,000 was what they were looking to set aside to create a cistern to be part of their fire protection system. And so what we would do here is this is a placeholder. Michelle's team would go and look at what you would need for a fire suppression system or an enhanced fire suppression system in the area, come back to council with what that would look like. And, you know, at this point, the placeholder, the number would actually have to be approved by council at the time. So whether it was 500 or 750 or $1 million, the reality of it is the cost and the design of the system would have to come back as part of that discussion from Michelle's team.
So we don't really need to put a number.
I think through the chair, I think for purposes of Scott putting a placeholder in his budget, it's always good to have a number.
Okay, sure.
Because otherwise the number of zero, money may end up in another reserve other than where you want to hold it right now.
Understood. Yeah.
So if I may follow up, and I'm gonna send it over to Michelle. I don't know why I'm saying $600,000 for the Debert Aviation Center, but what did it cost to put that system? Remember, Michelle, that we put in the Debert Aviation Center? I know we had put a holding tank and it was upwards of 600,000, was it not?
Michelle, please.
Through the chair, I don't recall the number. I could look it up, but yes, we had to install a new water line on Vickers for the aviation center to service for their fire protection. It was in the hundreds of thousands, yes.
And I guess the reason for my question is that this is a much larger facility than what we have at the Bird Aviation Center. I could very easily see this being 1.5 rather than 500K, but I think we should pick a number, 500K. I'm okay with 500K. Thank you.
That's the number that is in the motion. Yes. Are you ready for the question? Question's been called. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The motion carries unanimous. Thank you. On to the Truro Colchester Welcome Network. $7,500, requesting a $7,500 operating grant with assistance funding the coordinator's salary, programming that allows continued support to newcomers in the region. Anyone prepared to put a motion on the floor? Blair?
I move that the Truro Colchester Welcome Network be approved for an operating grant of $7,500 as required.
Thank you. Seconded? Seconded by Councillor Patton. Mayor Blair, you want to speak to this? No? Councillor Cooper, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through to Scott. Maybe Craig, I'm not sure. Answer. There was another grant we approved for. What was that for exactly? Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Not sure. I know they've made requests before. I'm not sure if there was.
They're both at the welcome network.
Through you to the chair, I can.
Sure.
Yeah, it was through the nonprofit they were doing for multicultural events to help offset some of the costs for putting on those multicultural events. And that was through grants to nonprofit earlier in this evening.
For coordinator's position. Is that right?
Yeah, funding the coordinator's salary, programming that allows continued support to newcomers. Councillor Martel, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to speak against this motion because the letter that came in, while I respect the work the Truro Colchester Welcome Network does and that it is a valuable resource, it did not include a budget. The only firm number within that letter is an ask for $7,500. So there is no clear, concise way of understanding what that budget is. Everyone else on this list that was asking for annual funding took the time to prepare a budget so we could clearly see the full extent of their operations and where their money was going. So I would suggest, in my view, I'm not going to support this, but I would also welcome them to come back to council with a budget and more information on how they would use our funds.
Thank you. Councillor Benoit.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Is that not one of the requirements? They have to have a budget or financial?
I believe so. Dan, please.
So yes, through the chair, so yes, the expectation would be there would be financials. I think the request actually came as a result of a withdrawal of some funding in the provincial budget, which is what drove the request coming forward at this point. But I don't have all the details on that, but yes, typically we see a budget financial background.
Was it a last minute request?
Through the chair, they came in and it was probably during the provincial budget cycle. So it's about it's 3 weeks to a month ago that they come in to have the discussion.
And I don't think we support salaries, do we? For profits, yeah. Anyways, we're ready to vote. Call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Contrary-minded, nay.
Nay.
It's unanimous, nay. All right. Yes. Yes. Come back. Yeah, Dan just reminded me that all of these are recommendations to council that will come before council at the end of the month. All right, are there others? Oh,
That was the last item we had. We've done the grants,
For nonprofit.
the community event grant. So that leaves us with 315,000. That's just shy of, just to put that into perspective, that's just shy of 1 cent on the residential rate. The commercial rate would be commercial rate's 38,000 percent. And percent for residential is 335,000. So technically, if you want it, you could adjust the rate, either of those rates to offset that surplus.
All right, Dan, would you like to?
Sure,
address this?
so thank you through the chair. So, folks remember last year, we found ourselves in a similar situation. And what we did is the money, essentially was put into a reserve. So recognizing that those reserves then are available if there's discussion around even items like a fire suppression system, whatever, those can then come to the table. And so, however, to that point, you know, there's, at this point, council can make or give direction in multiple ways. But I just remind council that, in years gone by, the typical approach was to hold the rate and then put the money into a reserve for any other considerations.
Thank you for that. Councillor Leggett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion that any excess funds be put into ongoing repairs at the rec center. Thank you.
Seconder for that, Councillor Weatherby. Any further discussion on the motion to put our outstanding balance into a reserve for the rec? Councillor Cooper?
I just want to say, I was gonna bring it up, Councillor Leggett brought it up before, I'm gonna say the same thing.
Okay.
Totally agree with him.
Anything further? Dan?
So just want to be clear, for council and so that typically this budget, our budgets would have a $200,000 contribution. So effectively, we're saying we would have a $515,000 reserve set aside for the rec. Just wanted everybody to be clear for 1 year.
Everybody understands that we're increasing the reserves that we're putting to the rec. Councillor Martell, please.
I would not vote to support that motion. We have not received a budget from the rec. According to the operating agreement that we all sat around the table and voted on at the end of January, that we're now operating with, the society had a duty to have a joint meeting whereby the last day of February, we would have been presented with the budget. And I find it hard to sit here and see that there wasn't a letter that was sent to us extending that time frame when previous committees that were heading up the society were expected to adhere to the deadlines and the operating agreement, which is now in a breach, where we're sitting here at the council table making decisions on budgets where we have no copy of a budget from the rec for consideration based on the main operating agreement that we all voted to put in place. And I would hope that it's something that would be a priority for the committee to have a budget before us to be making decisions to put extra hundreds of thousands of dollars aside without even knowing what they would be asking for operations and having that budget in front of us for consideration.
Councillor Leggett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not looking for operational money. This is repair money. In my mind. That's what we need to focus on. Regardless of what's going on with all the board members and lack of reports or whatever, we need to get that building repaired. So that is on the county and the town, 50-50. Town put 440,000 in their budget towards the multi-stack. I don't know what it's gonna cost to fix whatever needs to be fixed up there, but extra 315,000 isn't gonna touch it. But if we don't have it in reserve for something, whether it goes there or not is irrelevant. But at least there's extra money there if we need to fix another window or whatever needs to be fixed. And if we want to get a new council building, we need to get that facility fixed first. Thank you.
Anything further? You okay? You look like you want to speak.
Well, I was just wondering if they wanted to make
Oh,
comment on
do you want
the funding. The multi-stack.
So through the chair, and I know that, folks are likely aware that, an RFP has gone out for engineering services and evaluations have been done. At the next board meeting, the engineering, company will be, selected, so that piece of work is moving forward. And from a budget perspective, the assumption, of the board has been that the grant from both Truro and Colchester would remain consistent for this year at 750,000 apiece. There is still budget work going on, absolutely, and so council is correct that there's a sense that that needs to come back. But the intention of all the work was that, at least in the budgeting process, that the $1.5 million operating grant would not be increased, that anything that would be a shortfall or an adjustment would be put back for that work to come forward through senior management or through the board to look to close any gaps. So the contribution or the grant through this budget process remains the same at 750, and this motion would be an increase from 200 to 515, 500 on the reserve.
Yeah, and that reserve is dedicated to capital costs. Yeah. Are you ready for the question?
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay.
Nay.
One nay from Councillor Martel. The motion carries. That should balance the budget.
Good.
Yeah. Just gonna update my spreadsheet here.
So,
Yeah. That effectively balances our budget. We would set 88.5 per hundred for residential and 228 commercial. So if council wishes, I can finalize those changes and then we would take it back to council at the end of the month.
You okay with that? Mayor Blair?
Through the chair to Scott, would you like a motion with regards to maintaining the tax rate?
No, but I think in the past, councils at this meeting, committee has made I believe, remember correctly, they've made a motion to send it to council for final approval.
The whole thing?
The document that that's right.
So moved.
Thank you. We have seconder, Councillor Kennedy. Ready for the question? Any further discussion? Question's been called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Scott, for all. Anybody else on the budget? I guess good news for Colchester County taxpayers. Comes to council and sing us tickety boots. So I think our business tonight is completed. Don't have, we had an alternate date in case we ran over time, but we don't need. So look for a motion to adjourn, please, by Councillor Pat.
Thank you, everybody. No meeting tomorrow night. No.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem.